Hello and welcome to another episode of the Random Cinematic Universe, the movie where we let the evil algorithm choose the movies we watch. Except for this week, we didn't. This week, the movie was chosen for us by Peter, or Satan, as he is now known. This is a special episode. It is the first episode we have recorded in months. The actual show is on a bit of a hiatus. But back last November, we did an event called ExtraLife, which raises money for children's hospitals around the world. We did a 24-hour live stream, and one of the incentive goals was if we hit a certain dollar amount of money raised, we would sit down and watch a little 3-part miniseries called Garzey's Wing.
I don't know if this is actually picked up. But.
It won't. We hit that goal. So now we are fulfilling our duty, and we have all watched Garzey's Wing, much to our dismay. And now we're here to talk about it. I'm joined by Jesse Nelson.
Hello.
And Peter
Dawson.
I blanked there, sorry.
That's fine. You could have just said Peter Satan. That would have been fine.
Peter Satan.
Yeah.
Peter Morningstar. Because your name is Lucifer now.
I don't know why
anyway,
none of that's going to be seen.
So we're going to talk about Garzey's Wing, and a 3-part anime miniseries.
An OVA, as they're called.
Mm-hmm. Original video animation.
And this is for the children. We're doing it to raise money for the children.
On the behalf of kids.
Sorry.
So, I guess we'll start with the elephants in the room here. Technically, I just need to address something here. So, we're recording in Jacob's loft. Mm-hmm. There is a bussin' recording studio across the wall from us that only turns on when we press record. Is what we found out.
There's been nobody next door all the whole time we've been setting up until we're ready to start recording this. And they start throwing down hip-hop tracks next door.
Yeah.
So
you're going to hear a bit of that.
Also the bus outside.
Also the bus. Also, you'll only be able to see outside in the video version because it will not light balance whatsoever.
We are in downtown Kelowna, where you get to see the wonderful building across the street, which is the rooftop of Mosaic Books.
Yeah. Way to dox us. So, without further ado, I guess we'll talk about it. Mm-hmm. Has anyone seen this before? Weird.
This was my first viewing.
My first viewing as well. I think this was Peter's
fourth.
Okay, there we go.
So just out of the gate. So I'll stick to the regular format a little bit, and we'll give a little quick synopsis. From what I can tell, Garzey's Wing is about a man who just really wants to go to his high school reunion. He gets given a necklace which sends his spirit into another world.
Called Byron's Well or something like that?
Byston
Well, where his spirit self and his physical self now coexist, and his spirit self is the manifestation of Garzey's Wing, some sort of power that shows up and turns him into, what do they call him? The what warrior?
The Holy Warrior.
Holy Warrior.
Yeah.
Paladin. And he's supposed to help a group of slaves that have formed a rebellion against the higher-ups in this fantasy world with dinosaurs, but then also gunpowder.
No, that's called Gata.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's the gunpowder type substance.
What was the cocaine called again?
The
the
drug.
white powder that makes the animals happy?
Yeah, the drug. I forget what it's called. They just call it, he just at one point says, "This is what in my world we call a drug."
Yeah, it's cocaine. It has to be cocaine.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's a movie. It's a series about this person's soul who gets sucked into a fantasy world
3 episodes.
where he plays the holy warrior who's going to save these people while his physical self just really would like to be at a high school reunion.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very classic take on the Moses story, really, when you think about it. It's almost 1-to-1. Moses just wanted to get to his high school reunion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's going to start causing some shit.
It's a classic take on what the Japanese call the isekai, which is where you get sucked into another world.
Yeah. Which, I mean, the premise is there.
Yeah.
There is a premise there that it's one of those, like, I feel like the intentions were good and there was a good idea behind it. It was just executed so poorly.
And I'll say, I watched the English dub.
I
I'm
watched the
assuming
English
we've
dub.
seen the English dub across the board here.
Oh, the English dub's way better.
Yeah.
And by better, he means way worse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that makes it watchable.
So, hold on. I was gonna say something. My anger of how bad this was completely threw me off. Blah, blah, blah. We were talking about. I fucking lost it. I'll bring it back.
I do have trivia, but do you want me to dive?
Oh,
into
I was gonna say. There is actually an interesting plot point in here that is underutilized completely, like everything in this movie. But the fact that his spirit gets like it's an isekai, you're right, where he gets transported from the modern world into a fantasy world, and he is the hero, and that's a very classic story.
Yeah.
But what you almost never see in these is that his body itself is still in the real world, coexisting and communicating.
Yeah,
and that's a really interesting.
But he can still
concept.
Communicate with himself, with his physical body in the regular world.
But there's like
And isn't
three
it
scenes.
when he takes
scenes where that
damage in the spirit world,
it affects him in the real world.
it manifests in the real world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. It's very underutilized. Again, I think there's like one scene per episode that they really interact. Mm-hmm. So I would say it's wasted, but it is an interesting concept that I was like, that's kind of cool. And that is the last time I will compliment this production.
Yeah, so I want to go right back to the first episode, the beginning of the first episode, when he gets sucked into this world.
I was going to mention I do have a brief bit of trivia on the history of
Oh,
this.
yeah, please.
Do you want me to? So, because I don't know if you guys looked up anything about this.
We tried.
I tried, and the trivia section on IMDb is empty.
Well-
The Wikipedia page has nothing.
Well, here, there's a few pieces of trivia. First of all, this is done by Yoshiyuki Tomino.
Who is a renowned
Yes.
director in Japan.
Well, most notably, he created Mobile Suit Gundam.
Okay.
Probably one of the most known animes.
Yeah, and then, but here's the thing: this is also a sequel or prequel, I forget which it is, to one of his other classics, which is not as well known worldwide, or A Battler Dubin, which is basically fantasy world, but there's also mechs.
Okay.
You notice
See,
there
the
was
way-
no mechs in this series.
The thing that I had read was that this was based on the first 2 books of a 5-book series.
Yeah, which is tied into the like Byston Well is a recurring world where fantasy and people get sucked in.
Okay.
And there, in some cases there was mechs. There was no mechs in this.
No. But anyways, back to the first episode when he gets sucked in, and his spirit gets sucked in. And
How
his
does he get
spirit-
sucked in?
I can't even remember.
I will describe
What
it
do you
for
mean you can't?
No,
I
just-
will fucking. You
All
don't
right.
remember? Via goose.
Technicolor.
Was it a goose?
Via a giant spectral goose that
think-
picks him up
Technicolor. We
by...
have to emphasize that he's rainbow.
Okay, so I was just trying to I was getting set up and maybe taking notes, and then all of a sudden he was on a motorcycle, and then all of a sudden he was being pulled into a world.
Yeah, via goose. Via
okay.
rainbow, Technicolor, Rainbow Road goose.
But he arrives in the Byston Wells nude
Yep.
with the worst merkin I have ever seen.
Yep.
Where it's just a bush. There's just he's running around fighting people, and there's just a bush between his legs and nothing else.
I will say that the opening, to your point of you were getting ready to take notes, you looked down, looked up, and suddenly he's flying away. The first 4 pages of the script, it felt like whoever was the actual writer, not necessarily show director, but writer, was told you need to establish all exposition in the first 4 pages, or I'm gonna fucking murder your family.
Yeah.
They just start saying shit at you, we're this tribe of this palace, we're in the rebellion because of this. I was I've lost, and this is mid combat. I've lost track of what's happening.
Oh yeah. The writer and director were the same person.
Oh God.
Yeah.
That always works out, right, Zach?
And the dialogue. Oh, the dialogue. I need to learn to be an old-timey Japanese man.
My favorite is in the final battle.
Gee, I wish I could get back to my high school reunion right now.
We'll jump ahead. I won't say about the ending too much yet, but in the final battle, they throw some of their ropes or whatever around these things, and they kick ass for 3 things in a row. One guy goes, "This is going badly," and I'm like, "What do you mean it's going badly?
Yeah.
You're winning."
Yeah.
You're winning. Yes, let's talk about the actual voice acting in this for a moment, because it sounds like the dialogue is bad, and I'm of the understanding that part of it was because it was basically somebody sitting down with an English-Japanese dictionary to translate it, not having it translated by somebody who speaks both languages and knows where nuance is and where you can...
Yeah, because I watched it with English subtitles on.
Yeah.
Because the subtitles often are actually what it should be saying, and they were never correct.
Yeah, and so it was one of those things it was very poorly translated. And then on top of that, it sounded like they just walked out into the street, grabbed the first 20 people they could find, shoved them in a booth, and said, read these lines.
Yeah, because like I looked it up. Almost all the actors have like proper IMDb pages, but you got to start somewhere. And when you're only given one take, there's only so much you can do.
This was also '96, where like English dubs were not respected by both the Western community and the Eastern community. It was a thing that had to be
you were
done.
Miyazaki.
Yeah.
And then Disney was hiring people to dub your movies.
After though.
Yeah,
there's 2 dubs of the most Ghibli ones, right?
But it was still around then that they started.
that was
Yeah,
still-
Spirited Away was 2000, or not Spirited Away. Mononoke was 99, and they got Neil Gaiman of all people to do that one.
Yeah.
That was a weird.
Neil Gaiman's in Mononoke?
No, he's the one who did the translation.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, so like this was an era when it was just like throw people in a booth. There were 8 voice actors.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, 100%.
Right?
You could tell.
Like the Filario fairy chick is like most Pokemon. That was her whole thing. She did.
Oh, really?
She's Vulpix. She's like
Yeah.
I looked it up. She's like a bunch of Pokemon.
Well,
So-
and she was one of the better voice actors in the show.
yeah.
That was so weird when he's like trying to use his spit on the arrow to put the gunpowder on the
God, that
arrow.
was so gross.
And then she's just like,
Use my
try the
wing well."
oil that's
On my wing
on the root, my wing roots, and he's just like rubbing an arrow,
Which
on her
wouldn't
back.
have been so great. I was like, that's a weird plot point, okay. But then when they show the reverse shot of him doing it, and I've never seen like wear fairy wings attached to a body before.
Yeah.
And it's gross looking. I don't love it. I fucking hate it.
Yeah,
No, it was
and then
like-
it was just like this white sticky goo that was just apparently is at the base of her wings at all times.
Yeah. I feel like there's a sex joke in there, but I don't want to make it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because it's like, it's that creepy.
Well, then there was also when they tried to rip her legs apart. I didn't love that scene.
No. Well, it was at first when they're grabbing her, like, are you about to sexually assault that fairy? He's like, oh no, you're just going to murder her by ripping her to pieces.
Yeah.
There's, yeah.
Come on.
And it didn't help that they animated it to look like a small child.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's Japan for you.
Yeah.
It's
I do love the classic like trope of this guy shows up is adult but then thinks of shit that no one else has thought of. Like they've invented gunpowder. He's like, what if I put it on an arrow and shoot it? They're like, my god,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
guy's a genius. What the fuck?
Everybody start doing this now.
And he immediately teaches them how to make like fuses, so they have like ropes and everything,
Yeah.
and it's just like,
But the thing is, they were already lighting ropes on fire to make fuse. He's just like, what if you coat the fuse in the gata so it burns faster? And they're like, oh my god.
Yeah. This was not something they had earlier. There was issues with the fuses being too slow.
Yeah.
Because it was just ropes lit on fire.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the whole movie is essentially one long chase sequence where just a bunch of bullshit happens.
yep.
Like, and then then there's like downtime where they're like, oh man, we better keep running as they're slowly harvesting grass and walking alongside the cart. And I'm like, I thought you were being chased right now.
Technically, they're always being chased.
I know, but there's a lot of downtime for being chased in this movie.
Well, because they have to make the new bells.
Oh, that's right, because they have to summon the Garzey wingness
Yeah,
better or
which
something.
doesn't
Yeah.
make sense because he had Garzey's wing, but then it goes away, and so they make new
Yeah.
bells.
So let's actually talk about that. We haven't explained what Garzey's wing is.
I don't know if they did.
So they didn't explain it either. It's basically just there's this legend that there's going to be a holy warrior that has Garzey's wing, which is just a pair of wings that appear
Like light wings.
coming like wings made of light that come off of the ankles,
Like the goose.
like Namor.
Yeah.
But it's like giant
Yeah, or-
fucking
yeah,
Namor, but
Hermes,
they're like each
Mercury.
wing is like 6 feet long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just he sprouts Technicolor goose wings from his feet, so he can fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess also fights really well with a broken sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of times where like he, on purpose, the one chick like goes to throw him a sword, and he just ignores it and keeps fighting with a broken
It
stub.
happens twice.
Yeah.
It's like, here, Chris, use this, and then it just like lands in front of him.
Well, so and then like so you're right. They're trying to make these like blue earthen bells, like blue clay earthen bells, and there's like this wind priestess who is Hassan. Was that her name?
Hassan, yeah.
Hassan. And then her 2 kids that are the fairies from Fairly Odd Parents, I'm pretty sure, with pink and green hair.
Yeah, like they're just
Oh yeah, it's just Cosmo and Wanda.
Yeah, just chillaxing. And yeah, they have to make 8 bells, which coincide with the 8 bells on his necklace, like the shrine necklace that he had from his parents.
I guess.
yeah.
And then I blacked out, I'll be honest, the second episode. I watched it this morning.
Yeah.
And was the friend at the swimming pool the one at the end that's like, I'll give you energy?
No.
So where did that woman show up?
Okay.
'Cause I
Well,
blacked
okay.
out.
Well, let me go through it here. So, in the real world, what's happening is at first, Chris goes home, and after being assaulted by the technical recluse, his body just keeps going, right?
Right, yeah, of course.
And
Well,
so,
yeah.
and then the next day he wakes up and he says, "Oh my God, I felt like I was having a dream," which is just an amazing piece of dialogue already.
Yeah.
And then it's like he starts talking to himself, and everything the ghost him says is great because it's just like, there's bruises all over my body because I had to fight naked. There's a war going on. Even dinosaurs are here. My sword is unbelievably dull.
Yeah, or my favorite
There's
is
so
there's,
long
there's so
where
many
he's
foreigners. There's a bunch of 13th or 14th century foreigners around.
Yeah, that's in there.
Great
Yeah.
line. Yeah.
And there's something about what is it? Oh yeah, he just flat out says, "I must somehow make sense of our convoluted situation."
Which he must somehow make sense of it.
Which again, I'm assuming that the original Japanese script makes much more sense, and it's just it's too much like verbatim translation
Oh, yeah.
versus like ways that you would say things in Japanese that you would translate
It's
it.
too stiffly formal. There's like no contraction.
Well, it's like the classic meme of like someone set us up the bomb,
Yeah.
right? What's the one quote from that video game that's more classic?
All your base belong to us?
Yeah, all your base are belong to us. Right? It's
Yeah.
that classic level of
It's
broken
literal
translation.
translation versus knowing the nuance of the language.
Yeah, not even like structure half the time. Like there's some structure, but it's not great. But yeah, no, like he ends up going to because Chris is like, I gotta go to my class reunion. And then did you notice how like everyone seems to like worship the ground he walks on when he gets there?
Yeah. Maybe that's why he really wanted to go.
That's what
because
I'm
he
saying.
was like the most popular kid ever.
Yeah. And then what does he immediately say to the girl who comes out of the pool?
I don't remember.
You certainly got sexy. Like it's what did she say to him? It's something. It's very. It's like you certainly look relaxed for someone who is studying for an exam, which is
Because he's in like college, I think is it.
Yeah,
Right? So why is he going to a high school reunion? Was it like 2 years ago?
Well, that's the thing is like it talks about like he's in college, but he's going to a high school reunion.
Yeah, it's probably just all his old friends, and
Maybe it's just like a get to get. Like again, could be a translation thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Could be like it's a bunch of friends from high school getting together.
But they've translated it as
hang
a
out.
high school reunion.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Because like this doesn't shock me too much, but a story I hear is a lot of Japanese kids when they're finished university for the semester or whatever will go back to the hometown, meet up with all their old friends, and that's when they'll do like the watermelon party and all the stuff you hear about. So I imagine it was something like that.
Right.
But
right.
it just got translated as an actual reunion.
Well, yeah, actually, because that's interesting because that makes sense because at the beginning he's riding his bike back home, right? Like he's like in the city going back home,
Yeah.
right? When that bug dies for no fucking reason, too.
Yeah, the cicada for some kind of cicada
the
symbolism.
bug's just like on the ground. He's like, anyways, I must go, and that happens in the first 10 seconds of the fucking show, and
Yeah.
you're like, okay.
While he's arguing with the girl who ends up giving.
Right,
Yeah.
that's where she's from.
That's where I was getting to.
She's
Yeah.
like, take my energy. It's
Yeah.
what it's there for,
Yeah. Because it's like.
which is a super unhealthy thing.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of stuff you guys are talking about that I have no fucking clue what you're talking about.
You mean the
And
beginning and end of the story? Because the middle's where I lose it.
I think
fight a
what
Hydra at
happened
one
was
point.
I had started watching it yesterday morning.
Yeah.
And then my day got away on me.
Yep.
And then I realized I still had to finish watching it because I had to come to Kelowna first thing. Like I had to look after the kids this morning and then come to Kelowna. So I was watching it at like midnight last night. And I was just so upset at having to watch it that I started shopping for everything I need for my Obi-Wan Kenobi costume for Comic-Con.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
That I then like all of a sudden like looked up and there's like a whole episode was over and I was just like,
Yeah.
okay.
I remember I had to watch this morning when Zach said, "Hey, I'm coming by to grab the equipment," and I was like, "Oh, cool, yeah, you do you, man." And then I started watching the episode.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's one of those things.
I will say, like, it's not if I'm gonna like go into technical aspects of it, it's not amazingly animated, but it feels like what I remember being on par for the era.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing that was the thing that threw me off, I think, was that it looked like, half decent animation for TV for the era, but just everything else about it was awful. Like awful script, awful voice acting, like the story was terrible.
They just kept throwing proper names at us of characters that I didn't know if I had to give a shit about. Like, they'll like random people in battle will be like, "No, Todaigaru," and you're like, "Have I known this person this whole time?"
Who is Todaigaru?
Yeah. Well, my favorite is because they say it like 12 times using the Daragarol at Gaba Juju.
Yeah,
Daragarol is a specific monster.
It's the big one, I think.
Yeah,
right?
and Gaba Juju is where they're fighting, but they keep saying it's like they might use the Daragarol at Gaba Juju, and so that leaves rent free in my head.
Yeah, there was a was scouting. They came back and it's like, what does the enemy have? And they named like 4 monsters. The Daragarol is one of them.
Yeah.
But they've got 8 Daragarols, 4 Kakakaroks, and 4 Goo. And you're like, sure, that was all words that was fucking said. I understand.
Well, like early on, when he goes by the freaking shrine, he drops Japanese folklore knowledge.
Oh, Tikatakamakatakatakadui or whatever. Like,
It's-
and I'm not
it's-
trying to be offensive. It is a very long, convoluted like.
It's one of those ones where it's like a name and then hyphen NO
I gotta look at the
hyphen
shrine.
and
It's
then
like Namatomato.
Shinamaru no Miyamoto or something like that. Like that's one I can never retain because he says it way too fast.
So it's Garzey's. Oh, at one point it's like, can't you help me? And then he names that shrine again after
Yeah.
Garzey's wing.
Should it be the
shrine.
light? It's like, are you? And then it's just madness. Yeah, but it's just
All I know is that I finished watching it at like 12:30. Realized I had to be up at 8 because that's when the kids wake up, and it was my wife's day to sleep in. But I was just like, I need to flush this out of my system, and so I watched The Flash. Probably wasn't the best choice.
So that was your palate cleanse?
Well, it
was
was-
it Ezra Miller's The Flash?
It was one of those like I didn't pay for it. I absolutely like watched on a stream. Once I realized that it was available on streaming, I knew there was going to be a decent pirated version of it. And it's one that my wife absolutely would not watch with me. And I was like, I wanted to watch it for Michael Keaton. Like he's the only reason I wanted to watch that movie, and his parts were great. And so much of the rest of that movie was garbage.
Yeah.
So then I just went to bed madder.
I didn't hate that one, but yeah.
I want to find this fucking shrine name. It's a Shiratori shrine, but it's
Yeah,
not
sure.
the...
I'm mostly upset that it wasn't actual Nick Cage and it was just very bad.
Are we doing an
CG.
RCU on The Flash? Should we just
No.
shift gears? So...
No. I'm sorry. I just had to get it out.
No, it's fine. I mean, we're trying to talk about something that's only 90 minutes long, and a lot of it is just insanity. My favorite, though, is several times for the animation, like the most obvious thing that stuck out to me is when they have to have a bunch of horses go, they just don't show the feet and just slide the image.
Yeah.
The horses just kind of move.
And in explosions, they would just take a frame
Yeah.
and like zoom in on it and then rotate it.
Yeah.
I loved where...
There was some violence. There was some violent explosions in this. And-
There's some brutality in this.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
like, my favorite one is in the final battle at one point, Chris yells shit, and there's been no swearing the entire...
Yeah.
And he's like, something happens, like a monster pops, he goes, shit! And I'm like, whoa, that was
Yeah.
jarring.
I will point out the guy who directed and wrote this famously killed children with gunfire in some of his stuff, so he's no stranger to just
Brutality.
well, because he very much believes in the horror of war and showing it.
Yeah, which I could see, like, if I need to search for a theme in this,
Yeah.
Oh, if I need to search.
I mean, because part of it is like what happens in the ending.
Yeah. But I mean, like, it definitely is a quintessential, like, Messiah arc story. Like, I made the joke about Moses, but it is kind of a Moses-Jesus narrative, right? The Savior returning.
How
us
did it end? There was the
bleeding.
big battle. I remember they were doing the big battle. He has to like walk. That was the other thing. Like, you have to kill your enemy. He's like, I don't know how. Like, I realized that in context, it's to do it the ceremonial way.
Yeah.
But it plays off like he's just like, I don't know how to kill somebody. It's like, motherfucker, you've been slaughtering people this whole time.
Yeah. He did sweet air glide sideways and just like slashing people.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, I don't know how to cut a man's head off. Now that
Also, I love when the Garzey's wing won't come out. So he's just like, hey, do you guys have a trampoline? Oh, look, a drum.
Yeah.
Like the no segue, just
Yeah.
I need a trampoline. Oh, look, a broken drum
It's
right
even
in
better
front of
as
me.
he's asking, "Do you guys have a trampoline?" It's in the foreground of the frame. Like,
Yeah.
as he's positing the question to the audience to be like, "Will he have a trampoline?" It's like, "No, we see it. There's one." And then the other guys are like, "I brought the trampoline."
And then to trick people into thinking he still has Garzey's wing that allows him to fly, he's just jumping on a trampoline.
Yep. I mean, combat trampoline.
It has some applications.
Yeah, it's a tactical thing. Oh yeah. So, okay, do you remember anything about the giant guy?
Oh, giant Twaron.
Yeah.
Who has
Toraru.
Toraru has my favorite voice acting where clearly,
Yeah.
because he's got like the muffled like mask, but clearly the voice actor just did this in front of his face to make it sound all muffly. Like it's not even a in post muffle. It is clearly something in recording. You made him be like,
You just go like this and
Yeah.
talk, and then I get thrown off over the microphone.
I fight for
He
money.
sounds like 0.5 of Kermit the Frog too, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not a full Kermit. Like that's an exaggeration, but it's like a slightly muffled partial Kermit the Frog for a giant
Kermit the
9
Frog.
foot tall man. We kind of get a lore drop on what he's about.
He is the tuxedo mask of this movie.
Yeah, well, because he literally comes flying in out of nowhere, and covered in robes, and
Yeah.
just drops bombs on a Hydra.
Yeah, and he goes,
Is he the
"My
one
work is
that,
done?"
that what's her name was just like, why did I put all my faith in him?
Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
because there's, I guess, let's call her thirsty warrior woman who seemingly has an interest in Chris, which was not really well telegraphed.
No.
And then she starts getting interested in the giant guy, and it says another one of my favorite lines, which is like, he is interesting because he is a loner.
Which is like every anime fan, every fan, like weeb's dream sentence for a girl to say to them.
Yeah, it's just amazing line.
He's a loner, therefore I'm interested in him.
Yeah. It's weird because there's like, I guess it's supposed to be a love triangle with Chris and the priestess and the warrior lady, but and then like the warrior lady and Rumiko in the real world, the actual love interest in the real world, have the same voice actress, I think.
Oh, interesting. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, I think that's what it's supposed to. It's just like there's
Some of their
I don't know
plans-
if it's symbolism. Or,
Some of their plans with running also confuse the shit out of me because it's like they would split up the group into decoy groups, which makes sense where you want to split the army's attention and shit like that. And at one point they went through the mountain while someone went over the mountain, is my understanding.
yeah, it's like some go under, some go around.
And then eventually like there's an explosion, the whole thing kind of collapses in on them. But when they send the decoys over the mountain, the decoy group is like the priestess, and I'm like, she seems pretty fucking important to be in the decoy group.
Yeah,
Like the holy guy who can't get it up essentially is who we're protecting, but the priestess who can activate the power, fuck it, send her over the top of the mountain. That makes no sense.
yeah. I guess the goose wings are kind of a weird metaphor for.
Absolutely, like he constantly like, oh, I can't do it, and then someone has to save him.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Like it's just such a weird paced thing where usually when you watch a story, you can at least remember the set pieces and the order. But really, this thing in my brain is the opening fight when he lands, like into the chaos of the palace, and then the final battle in the canyon, and then I don't know when the tarantula in the swamp is, when the Hydra is, when the
Hydra's episode 2, Swamp is fairly middle of episode 1.
But what I mean, like,
because
all
that was
starts
something.
to
It was
bleed
something
together.
about like we have to. They're like, you can't go through the swamp. We have to go through the swamp, and then like the big creatures would just immediately like sink,
Yeah.
so that the army couldn't follow them.
Oh yeah, because they do the slide thing, but with like the raft, so the raft is awkwardly sliding like the horses were.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's like I think that's it goes temple escape, cave, swamp,
Okay.
and then forest.
Is that where the Hydra is in the forest?
No, because the Hydra's not till episode 2, and episode 2 opens with him riding the horse.
Yeah.
Like there's been an implied time skip. It's weird.
Jacob just trying to sneak
Jacob's
in.
trying to sneak in and steps on the most crinkly
Jacob,
paper.
fix the color, fix the light.
Yeah, tap our faces.
Tap her face.
Tap our faces in the video.
Because we're all dark.
Now slide to the other. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Hey, we have
Yay.
visuals now. Now leave
Now
before it changes.
we're gonna see if it's just gonna go back to The camera has decided that the background is
more
what
important,
needs to be light
I suppose.
balanced, and we can
So-
be in the dark.
Yeah.
So we've actually been Mystery Science Theatering this the whole time.
Yeah, we've just been a silhouette.
Do you want to edit Garzey's wing in the background? Quick. Thank you. But
Okay,
quick,
thanks,
you're
Jacob.
kicking the paper.
Stop it with the paper, man.
Oh my god.
Alright.
Why does it even have that much paper?
Fucking kick at the door on the way out.
That was fun.
I mean, we're kind of there, hey? Like,
So 32 minutes. I mean, I am trying to think.
we
of,
only have 357 hours and 16 minutes of recording left.
Yeah.
You're right. We need to fill it.
I do have two things I want to bring up real
Yes,
quick.
please do.
One is I'd love. It just sounds so
louder.
stupid in context, but they start the rebellion because it's a leap year, right?
I forgot about that.
Because it's like you need a fortuitous time of year, and they just
So
keep
like
saying.
February 29th. Jesus fuck.
But like they don't properly set that up. So the first time they mention it's a leap year, it's like this is happening because it is a leap year. And I'm just like, what?
yeah. No further explanation. You're like, I understand. I guess.
Yeah, but like later on they imply it's like a religious thing. But it's like
Yeah.
I love how their big religious thing is the leap year,
Yeah, and it's like the Matomius tribe or something.
Metonius or something like that.
Metonius,
Yeah,
Yeah.
M tribe, and then there's an evil empire that have dinosaurs.
I love the prince or what I don't know what his title is, but the guy that keeps on being confounded that they would rebel since he gave them slave work. He calls them slaves, and then is constantly like,
I don't understand. I let them have the glory of building the temple.
Yeah.
No, I want to look at the exact quote because it is such a good
Yeah, it's and this it's also I think there's the other guy who like constantly delivers messages. I think he's one of the warrior prince dudes or whatever, but he'll get to the palace, jump off his animal, it's basically dead, just to run up and
Yeah.
deliver a message. He's just constantly abusing his animals to the point of death. Just to be like, the slaves have escaped.
Yeah, I do love the I'd live with you if you had a convenience store is another good line.
Yeah, there's some good quotes in there. But I want to point out at the end too, because what happens is Rumiko is Chris's friend from Tokyo? Question mark? I think it was Tokyo.
Right.
And she starts out by yelling at him for being too easygoing, which is an amazing way to
Yeah.
introduce a character, right? And then later on, she feels bad about the argument, so she joins him at the pool party. And everyone's like, oh, are you his girlfriend? And then it's like awkward, but like, sure. And then she ends up spending the night at Chris's place, like you do. And because he's like having weird psychological trauma because of being in two different places, she opens the door and then just slides open her robe. And I'm like, are you about to sexually assault him?
Yeah.
And no, then she just passionately holds his hand.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
gives energy.
Yeah, but it's just like the weird context where he's laying there sweating like, half
like
asleep.
an
And then-
extreme.
And she's just like,
yeah.
Yeah. I found the quote, by the way. The warlord saying, quote, I spared their miserable lives. I let them work to build the palace, and now they start a rebellion. How impudent.
Yeah. There's so many good quotes. Like, that's one of the things that sticks with me is just, like, the amazing, this weird dialogue. Like, show that ancient Japanese man spirit.
Yeah. And he's only half Japanese, right? That's the whole thing. He
Yeah,
keeps
yeah.
saying, like, I'm half Japanese. I can't be an ancient Japanese man. You're like,
Yeah.
what are
Yeah.
you fucking talking about, dude?
That's why his name is Chris.
Yeah. The ending confused me a bit where they're riding on the bike and
Yeah.
then the wings take them again.
Yeah.
And then the wings vanish and they're just in the air and then the show
Right.
ends and I was like, are they about to fall to their death?
are they gonna die?
No, they're going to run into Tommy and Sandy from Grease.
Yeah.
Like, that really gave me a Grease ending vibes.
Oh, absolutely. This weird like, and fly away on your motorcycle.
Yeah, it's just.
So are we at the point where we rate the OVA?
Oh, it's... If it's not the worst.
Obviously, Peter, you're not done an RCU.
Yeah.
Basically, we rate it from 1 out of 10 from an enjoyability rating, and then
And
from
a
a
technical standpoint.
like from a how was it made versus how much you enjoyed it.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like technical.
So technical, yeah.
Just.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would say
Because you can have a movie that you like fucking hate, but technically,
Yeah.
everything looked good.
Yeah.
Like, the performances were fine.
this is a 5 or a 6 technically.
I think the dubbing falls in there.
It does, but that's what keeps it.
I'd say it's like a 3 or a 4. Because I think animation-wise, it wasn't the worst, but it wasn't the best either.
Score and sound design were pretty good, which is heavy in animation.
It's true. And then, for me, I would say I would have given it like a perfectly average 5, technically, for like being perfectly middle of the road.
But that god-awful dub.
But the translation and the dub were so bad that brings it down to like a 3.
Okay. Peter?
I'll give it a 4.
Okay, so we're in the ballpark of like...
So, I'm going to guess 1 out of 10.
But enjoyability...
So I think I enjoyed it a little bit more than Zach did. I would debate. This is actually something I actually don't know. I would debate I'm more anime experienced than you are. Mm-hmm. Like just like being like seeing what the standard of these are.
Yes.
Right. That being said, it's not enough bad for me to laugh at all the tropes. Peter's right. Like the dialogue is what makes you go like, "What the fuck just happened?"
Yeah, no.
But for the most part, a lot of the tropes are like, "Okay, we're doing this now. Okay, we're doing this now," and it just feels a little like we're checking off boxes to a degree.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been spoiled by like a really good isekai. Granted, it had 3 episodes to tell its storyline, but I would say it's like a 3 enjoyment, 3 out of 10, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a 1.5 for me.
I understand.
I just, and it wasn't even like from an anime standpoint, just from like a story standpoint, it was a mess. Mm-hmm. There wasn't really much to follow. It explained too much of what didn't need to be explained, and didn't explain enough of what did need to be explained.
No, but the Duragaro, the Gajubujubu.
It's because it's a leap year.
Anyway, it's low. Like
No, I understand. I understand.
I couldn't get into it.
I'm going to agree with Jesse and give it a 3 out of 10, just because it's like, it's not quite the Room level for me, because like, you know, that's like the classic benchmark of amazingly bad. Watch it and you can still have a good time, right? Like, it doesn't quite hit that level for me, but with the English dub, I think it's within striking distance. It's not quite there.
Okay.
I'm definitely going to, like if Room is like S tier benchmark, I would say I would put this at like a B.
Here's an interesting qualifying question for you, because you've seen it multiple times.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched this alone?
Yes.
How many times?
Just once.
Okay.
No, I do think it's better with people.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons I'm not even going to be like, oh, but it's a great, terrible, bad movie. Because, like, a good, terrible, bad movie you can watch by yourself as well, right? I think that's where you're going with that. Yeah.
Whereas this, I think you need the communal shitting on.
You do need the community, yes. Yeah. Which is one of the reasons I was like, this will be interesting for this show.
Yeah.
Where we don't watch it together. No, like, I still have a lot of fun watching it by myself. But it's mostly, I wouldn't watch all 90 by myself.
Yeah, you maybe watch an episode or so.
Yeah, but I'll happily watch just highlight reels of this again, especially the speech near the end where he's like, humans are just human. They come into this world with nothing. Like, he just has some weird rambling thing, and then the guy just goes, you are right. It's just stuff like that.
What a great way as a writer to reinforce a plot point is just to ramble and then have another character go, yep. That's how it be sometimes.
It's just, I have a huge soft spot for bad dubs in nonsense stories.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. I love ghost stories, which is another anime.
That's a different beast, but yes.
But so I respect where you're coming from on this.
Yeah. You need the whole package, though, and it does definitely play better if you have people with you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think we're about to wrap up.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm just crossing the road right now.
It's done.
That did get picked up, though.
Can I have a complete sidebar question? Because we're at like 40 minutes.
Yeah.
I had a thought the other day, and it's broken my brain, and I need someone to answer this because I can't find information on it.
Okay.
So those sounds when you cross the road, right? We're completely going off base here. Are for people who are visually impaired.
Yes.
Yeah.
To know. How do they know which way is safe?
The direction of the sound.
The direction of the sound.
Okay, it comes from one way or the other.
The sound doesn't come from the where you are. The sound comes from across the street. Okay. Or like you're listening for the speaker that's across the street, and you're going towards the sound.
Okay.
Doesn't
seem perfect. I'll be honest.
I mean,
I feel like there's. I don't know. It's just
what we got.
There's also Braille and stuff as well.
And a field of traffic. What are you talking about here?
I think it plays on both corners so that you can.
Yeah.
Like you'll immediately pick up. Okay, it's coming from that direction, not that direction. nothing.
Okay, that makes sense. We've learned something on this episode then.
Well, that was a very special episode of the Random Cinematic Universe, the show where we let the evil Peter pick pick what we watch and talk about. And in this episode, we talked about Garzey's Wing. And remember that this was for the children. We were raising money for ExtraLife, which for us, all of the money that we raise goes to the Children's Hospital of British Columbia, or the BC Children's Hospital.
If
For
you would
whom we raise money every year.
If
I
you would
will
like to
post the link.
Yeah, I can also say it out loud. I got it memorized. It's
Okay,
easy peasy.
he's gonna say it out loud. I will also post a link in the description.
We are currently fundraising for our 2023 campaign. We're trying to get to 19,000 American, which is about 25,000 Canadian for us. Mm-hmm. That's our goal for this year. We did 14,000 American last year. If you would like to donate, you can go to www.cbextralife.live/donate. Again, the link will be posted below. And this is something that came up during our 24-hour broadcast we do every year. This year will be November 4th, starting at 8 a.m., going to November 5th, 8 a.m., where I'm sure Peter will, while we're drunk and tired, again convince us to do something awful like this again. So thank you for donating and supporting.
Yeah, I was going to say, I love that we do the 24-hour broadcast on one weekend, and then the following weekend is my birthday weekend. So it's just like, I get wrecked weekends
It's a
in a
ruckus.
row.
It's a ruckus for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But thank you, everyone who donated and made this hellhole a possibility. Yeah. We appreciate it.
What was our limit? How much money did we raise for us to have to do this?
I think it was 17 or 18,000. I said, what if we hit this?
Yeah.
Do we? Because I think I was talking about the scripts we had done the previous year, and that's how that came up.
Yeah, and because we raised just over 14,000 American, which was 20,000 Canadian, basically.
Yeah.
Yes, we did raise $20,000
Canadian. I think it was 11 or 12,000 American is when I said that.
Something like that. And because our goal was, I think, 11,000. We surpassed it. And I think you were like, it was either what our goal was or just before that you had set that to. And then we eclipsed it fast.
Yeah.
Like you said this, and then it happened like maybe an hour later. And we're like, oh, I guess this is a thing.
And I wasn't even like, I secretly donated to make it happen. No, that just happened.
I'm also fairly certain that when they coerced me into this, I was drunk and could not consent.
I mean,
much like Chris couldn't when he was sleeping in that bed,
or that fairy couldn't when oh man.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're gonna call it there,
dude. I don't like Wingu. I just want to bring that back.
Did you like though that they had a tiny lasso for it?
They did.
Let's end this fucking thing.
Garzey's Wing
It was Garzey's Wing episode of the Random Cinematic Universe. We'll be back whenever I decide we are. The regular show is still on hiatus. We're going through some changes. Format changes, and maybe I'll update whenever.
It's just exactly in the box from the creator of Gundam.
Anyways, bye.
Bye. Where'd your mouse go? Oh, there it is. You hit stop. A little testy record here.
Mm-hmm. Well, we were doing that earlier.
Yeah.
I know.
We had a good idea of what it sounded like.
But we're gonna do a
anime.
1, 2, 3. Now I can't tell from here if did we go dark again?
We went dark again.
We went dark again. I think it's because I'm in the middle.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Like I set it off to.
Oh man, we have those cold opens for these episodes. I feel like I know what this one is. I feel like I was trying to balance. Okay, great. You can see us. If we go dark again, remember, this is what we look like.
This is no. You fuck.
Why did Jacob have to go get ice cream?
Oh, just like my dad. Well, that's too much now. No. Just accept it.
Because it's just like
Guys,
the background
enjoy
is
the
what I
beautiful
wanna see.
sky.
Yeah.
There's no.